Good afternoon. Welcome back to United TV. Miles Lewis-Skelly offered to Manchester United. So, interestingly, we do actually have some breaking news. We do actually have a story to discuss, which could be significant. And given Man United's moves in the transfer window, it's almost like deals have to drop into Manchester United's lap for deals to happen. And could this be something similar to Tielemans, where signings went to Aston Villa, Tielemans looked to move, and Manchester United took the opportunity, got the deal done quite rapidly. And we talked about Miles Lewis-Skelly. I'm trying to think how long ago it was. It couldn't have been that long ago because it was just before Bruno Guimaraes was really talked up about going to Arsenal. And I think what we're seeing here is Arsenal doing the same sort of thing that they have done in the past, like players coming in to replace other players in the squad. So for Arsenal, it's about trying to win the Premier League title next season. And for Manchester United, maybe this is another opportunity to get a player in who could be a good midfield option. He could be a decent left back option. He does have versatility, which is why I'm looking at this and thinking at the moment, before I saw this story, I was looking at Page, looking at Salinas, looking at the options Man United actually had in terms of left back options, and thinking, could this be a deal they do where they think actually is one player going to be sort of squad cover for both these positions? So that's going to be an interesting one. Just a big shout out to Ryan as well. 3 months a member. Big up to you, Ryan. Thank you for supporting the channel. So to go into this one, the story is that Manchester United and Chelsea, and I believe potentially other Premier League clubs as well, are going to be, again, this is no different to a lot of deals when you get to the summer transfers and players that are looking to move clubs. They will be sending out a lot of options. So this is no different from, I think it might have been a year ago when we were talking about Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and I think Dominic Calvert-Lewin's agent spoke to a huge amount of clubs. So no doubt Miles Lewis-Skelly's agent will be looking at potential options. Chelsea's one of them, which I think, okay, Chelsea are a significant threat. They've spent pretty big in the window, which, fair enough, they spent quite a lot of money. If this actually was an option between Manchester United and Chelsea, and if that was the case, then are Man United in a better position because we will have a lot more games. The same way that Santos was looking to leave Chelsea for limited opportunities. Are Man United effective at the moment? Is this our best way of getting players in? Are we just giving younger players opportunities in the first team? So whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, then you can make your own judgment regarding that one. But yeah, would you be thinking regarding this one? Scott says, would he leave United to join? Say, would he leave Arsenal to join United or Chelsea? I think with this one, if you look at the situation at the club, then if he's not going to get an opportunity at Arsenal, and Arsenal, when you buy Bruno Guimaraes and you've already got Zubimendi and you've already got Declan Rice, then opportunities are going to be limited, aren't they? And he's a good player, but Arsenal have got a difficult team to get into, and it's the same situation as Aiden Heaven decided to leave because at the moment, Arsenal could use a player like Aiden Heaven. Saliba's out for a decent amount of time, and again, it's about being there at the right time, isn't it? Man United had PK, he couldn't get in the team, went on to become a very good centre back for Barcelona. So it could just be that he's a good player, but it's the wrong time to be at Arsenal maybe for players that are not quite good enough to do this one. Um, and Kate Cadet, welcome to the chat, Kate. Anybody watching as well, if you are new to the channel, we will try and read out your comments as much as possible. But if we don't, well, please just keep posting stuff, and we'll try and go through them as well. Thank you, Bilal. Thank you, Jeff, for long-term support of the channel as well. We hit 900 subscribers, which it's in terms of like a rebuild. For people that don't know, Red Devil United got to 10.5k. We restarted with United TV. We're getting back towards 1k. It's just taking a little bit of time. Kate says Lewis-Skelly is a better option than Luke Shaw, but then there are a lot of others. I think with this one, is Lewis-Skelly a better option, but also is he a decent option in midfield? And a lot of people, I think I've been saying this as well. I spoke to an Arsenal fan probably about 2 weeks ago when we covered Miles Lewis-Skelly at that point in time, and we did talk about him as well. And he said, left back he's done a good job, midfield he's done a good job. It's also I think, I think they actually big up to JB on the United Devil channel as well, another good football channel. And yeah, when I spoke to the Arsenal fan, what he was saying about Miles Lewis Skelly, and I think sometimes you get more useful information from fans of the club rather than like now. For Man United fans, I watch Arsenal a little bit, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend I watch them every single week. But the feedback I got was some quite key Champions League games. Miles Lewis Skelly put in good performances, and I think at the moment, they've just gone for Bruno Guimaraes. He's got more experience. It might be balancing the book slightly, but it might be for Man United. Maybe we can get a deal done as well. I mean, this is probably going to be a bigger issue as well. That in terms of left back, I would like part of the thumbnail says Page or Salinas. Then if Harry Mass gets sold, I think Man United will be looking to replace him with a backup to Luke Shaw. So I've said this a few times. I think JB said this on United Devil channel. I think other content creators have probably said the same sort of thing. That Lewis Hall feels like an obvious option. We said this about 2 months ago, and maybe the price would have been, it could have been this situation though. Man United, they're interested in Lewis Hall. They like the player. They'd want to sign him. Have we left it too late? Have we left a situation where Newcastle have sold so many players? Newcastle have got so much money coming in. They're going to have a job to replace Bruno Guimaraes, Antonali, and Gordon in one window and try and be a good football team. Do they want to have the hassle of replacing Lewis Hall? I think if Man United went very, very big, yeah, Newcastle would take the money. But I think Newcastle are in a situation where they don't really want to sell Lewis Hall unless they have to. And when I say have to, it's because they get an offer they can't refuse. So I don't think Man United would be looking to go that high. So I think it'd have to go like probably higher than a lot of Man United fans would want to go. And I've said myself that when we talked about Lewis Hall and we said, right, 60 million, okay, that's absolutely fine, get it done. If it starts being I know 70, 75. Like where do you draw the line? At some point, I think Man United will draw the line as a football club a little bit cheaper than maybe fans would push it. I think fans would push it a little bit more to get the player in. But maybe Miles Lewis Skelly actually offers us a different option now where you go, maybe this would be a preferential option. So again, I can't read every single comment out, but my question would be if you got some options now, you got Lewis Hall for, let's guess, like £70 million. Is that going to be how much he costs? I think Miles Lewis Skelly, from when I spoke to rival fans, and it's difficult to guess because the transfer window's gone crazy. But is it going to be £50 million? He signed a contract with Arsenal last season, so I guess with this one that you're not going to be able to get a cheap deal. That it looks a bit like the are Arsenal looking to just move him on, or is Miles Lewis Skelly's agent looking for a deal? That could be key. If Arsenal want to sell the player, £50 million for me, considering the transfer window, he definitely gets sold quite quickly. If you push the price up a little bit, then I think for Man United, we should be able to spend, although if you believe certain news, there's reasons why we're not. But I think Man United can definitely spend money. There's definitely money there to spend. I would say Miles Lewis Skelly would represent a decent deal, get him in. I'll be up to you, Miss Sky, as well. I hope you're doing well. Say versatility. Do you know what I was thinking? Like versatility, maybe. Do you remember when we saw the Ineos criteria probably about 2 years ago? And it was like resale value, ages of up to like 26 or something. And there's always different criteria we're looking at regarding signing players. I think versatility is something key in most football clubs. You do need to have some versatility. No one's going to have everybody fit and available at the same time. Like it just does not happen, and you have to have a little bit of versatility. I don't think should have a situation where Manchester United feel like one or two injuries away from having big problems. But I think in terms of this one, like a fully functioning squad would have like a Wes Brown who can play a few different positions. You would have like say a Phil Neville, Clayton Blackmore if you go back further, and different players that could play in different positions. Like Roy Keane, again, he used to play in different positions throughout his career. Scholes, Giggs, all. I would say this: if you get players that can play multiple positions, I would say genuinely it's an indication that that's a better quality football player. Like if you can have like Giggs and Beckham moving from the wings to inside, or Roy Keane playing defensive positions, like midfield positions, attacking positions when he was younger, I think the versatility is generally a way of like saying that a player's just good. Like Wayne Rooney, you could drop him into several positions and he'd be one of the best players on the pitch. So I think, like Ryan, I think versatility is underrated. I just hope that the Glazers or Ineos don't use versatility as an excuse for not getting enough players in. So I think versatility is definitely something where, Roy Keane could play in a different position, so could Rooney. But I think most Man United fans would be going, right, I don't want to see Wayne Rooney on the left too many times because I want to see Wayne Rooney in that 10 position, close to goal, taking shots on target because he's a complete destroyer if you give him the ball in those sort of areas. But and I do go through the comments, and I do see a comment from I think it's Ian saying there's a difference between filling in and versatile. Exactly, exactly. I think with like Man United, sometimes we move players into a different position, and we get through the game. Like we get through the game, the player does okay, and we think, right, fine, next game we got the player back. It's not a big problem. But I think with versatility, when I was saying the players I listed are quite few, aren't they? Like Wes Brown, you'd say Clayton Blackmore, Roy Keane, like players that could play more than one position and be as good. Like Dennis Irwin, right footed, put him in left back. He could be right back originally. He's going to do a perfect job in either position. At the moment, with Man United, we think players are versatile, but in reality, there's a bit of a compromise and there's a bit of a drop off. And I don't want to see that happening because that is going to be a big issue. Gaz says we can't keep taking the cheap option. Exactly, Gaz. Like you can do one or two deals, and I don't mind. Like I don't mind like one or two cheap deals because they're sensible. The question is going to be how many cheap deals can you do? Like Tielemans is not a bad deal. He's a very competent football player. He's going to bring some experience. He did great with Aston Villa over the last couple of years. Aston Villa have been a solid team, so there's nothing wrong with that deal. It's not that expensive. For me, Tielemans is a replacement for Edison, and I'm actually slightly more enthusiastic about Tielemans than Edison. Like Edison, I didn't know loads about, so I went by a lot of like people's opinions in terms of how well he'd do. But it was still a bit of a no. No one really knew how well Edison would adapt to the Premier League. But with Tielemans, I think we got a good idea, and I think like one or two of those deals are fine. But you can't do every single transfer where like there's a bit of balance required, isn't there? Every single transfer cannot be the cheapest possible option in the same way that every possible transfer cannot be the most expensive player. Like you can't spend like £100 million per signing, but you can spend £100 million on one signing maybe. If it's a key signing, if it's the best player available, you can spend big money on one player and then you can look at cheap options around him. I think the question mark would be if Man United had Tielemans available for 35, and Bruno Guimaraes is, I think, not that much difference in age. He costs 75, so maybe Tielemans is a good deal. If Tielemans costs £60 million, then I think you've got to get someone that's younger. Like you can't buy someone that's that old for that sort of money. And maybe Man United got that one right. Um, this one's going to be an interesting one. So to answer your question, I'll just say to people, what do you think regarding how much money should Miles Lewis Skelly cost? Because when I see this comment saying how much would he cost, then I can only guess, Kevin, because the transfer window has gone a bit crazy and everyone seems to be very expensive. So all I'll say is that maybe about 2 weeks ago, when we're looking at Miles Lewis Skelly, I'm not sure exactly his age, I thought it was going to be about £50 million. And in terms of this one, now, if you got some suggestions of how much you think he's going to cost, let me know. I think £50 million for me seemed to be about the price we kind of most like a kind of average price we thought. And I think Santos costing £50 million makes you think, okay, it's probably going to be about that sort of price. Like I'd be surprised if he's going to be significantly cheaper. I'd be surprised. I don't see how he can be a lot more than that. Big up to you, Greg, in the chat. Greg says, glad we didn't go for Bruno Guimaraes, massively overpriced. I think with this one, Bruno Guimaraes, it's really difficult to say. Like I think for if he signed for Man United, then I think Man United fans would be comparing him to Casemiro and would be like thinking it's quite a lot of money for his age. But on the for Arsenal, if Arsenal win the Premier League, it'll be I'm not going to say it's money well spent, but it probably could be put construed as that. You could say if Arsenal win the Premier League, then you'd have to say a good deal for Arsenal because the prize money keeps rolling in, the success keeps you keep with that. But I think for Man United, it's too expensive. Like we're not. Let's win the Premier League next season. Well, clearly we're not based on what we're doing. So I think that £75 million would not have made a lot of sense. I say 3 weeks. Yeah, 3 weeks till the window ends, but a bit more of a. I think a bit more of a problem is that the season will start before that as well. And say cheap option, going for versatile players to save money. As for my first comment, I prefer to see players being played in their best positions. Yes, so, for me, Gaz is the same as well. And I think with some of the deals we're looking at, are Man United looking at Page and Salinas as a replacement for probably a replacement for Harry Mass? It looks a bit like Man United are replacing the Luke Shaw backup rather than replacing Luke Shaw, which again is something that's not going to be appealing to a lot of Man United fans. Danny B saying 35 plus 10 add-ons. So I think Arsenal might be wanting more money up front. So I think if Manchester United want to get this deal done, if this is going to be a genuine chance for Man United, I'd imagine like we've seen Chelsea offer money, and would Miles Lewis Skelly like to go to Chelsea? I don't know. It's difficult to call, isn't it? I think if Man United don't match Chelsea's offer, then we've seen in the past with Matheus Fernandes, then he's already in London. He might decide to stay in London for, again, maybe he's not going to sign like a big 7 year contract, but I don't know. It might be that Man United have to go sensible price. United Dice says 45 plus 5 add ons. So, yeah, it could be this one. So at the end of the season, says Real 50 million was mentioned. Yeah, I've seen 50 million talked about a lot. So that's why my guess is going to be, I think of most transfers based on like recent prices, you probably have to start around 50 million and see, can Man United get a better deal than 50? I would say, given his age, experience, I don't think you can get him cheaper than 50. Like when we're paying 50 for Santos, who again, like, he did play quite a few games last season, maybe not starting loads of games. I think when you start looking at the price though, I think Santos 50 million, you've probably got to put Mars Lewis Skelly in the same sort of bracket as well. The big dog says Grimos only want top five for financial reasons. Most people are accepting it and say, well done to the people supporting this crap, helping destroy our club. I would say, I think most fans are not happy with Ineos. I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but I think most fans are frustrated with what's happening. And I don't know, I think with this one, that I think if we had the option, I think most fans would like to see a different ownership model. And for me, it does look like I'll say this regarding Ineos. It does look a little bit like Manchester United. They can definitely spend a lot more than they are spending, and I don't think they're being honest with the fans. It looks like if anything, it looks like they're trying to save money for a stadium potentially. But the cynical people would say, and maybe this is some truth in it, is that the Glazers take money out of the club. At the moment, Ineos have been putting some money in, but they are doing it to acquire shares and things. So I don't know. I still get the feeling that it looks like Ineos are there to make money, but if we see something different, it's going to be, I don't know. It's hard to find a different view at the moment. That I haven't heard anything positive coming out of Manchester United for quite a long time. Um, so big up to you, Rob, always United. Good to see you in the chat, Rob. Hope you're doing well. I would say this one as well that I think blaming other fans, like disagree with other fans if you want to, but I don't think you can blame other fans for the way the club's run. In the same way that you wouldn't be sat here going, "Well done, Man City fans, for getting incredibly wealthy owners," would you? That so I don't think you can look at it and say like fans blaming fans for me is crazy because if I wanted to get the Glazers to sell, what can I do? If I don't buy a replica shirt, if I don't go to the stadium, what does that mean? It means absolutely nothing. So I think fans blaming fans is something that let's just try and avoid that. I don't think it's going to be particularly helpful to turn on each other. Big Modern Samurai and saying regarding this one, say ownership is not paying for that stadium. We are, I would say, yeah. That do you know what the thing is though? It's like an excuse, isn't it? If you're going to buy something, you can say like they can use that excuse. I think the people that are going to be paying for the stadium are going to be. I don't know what an average season ticket price. cost at Manchester United. I mean, when I've gone to Old Trafford myself, it's usually like it's like single tickets, and I've had to. You have to be a member, you have to apply, etc. And I would imagine that season ticket holders, they did have like a price freeze for a while, but I think there's going to be a massive hike with a new stadium. If you know any Spurs fans, or if you know any Arsenal fans in real life, how much they pay. I know an Arsenal fan in real life. The hike in price for season tickets when they moved stadiums was phenomenal and absolutely crazy. Um, how did they pay for the land? I guess we paid for it, Solly. Anyone that supports Manchester United, I guess we were to blame. I don't know. To be honest, I can't remember how much the land cost. So I can't remember how much the land cost, whether it's expensive or not. But I don't know. I don't know. Let me go through some of the comments as well. Yeah, I think blaming other fans seems to be like a, and again, when you're blaming other fans, like you're not blaming any specific fan, are you? It just feels like every fan wants their team to do well. So I don't think you can blame fans when the team does poorly. It's like it doesn't make any sense. Bilal says, in your opinion, we should have signed a third midfielder by now. So it's too late. Whoever comes in needs time to settle in. Yeah, I would say ideally you'd got your player signed earlier rather than later. This is Manchester United. I don't think we tend to do like we don't seem to have tended to do deals that early in the window, and I don't know whether like I'm not really blaming the World Cup because every other club has the same situation. I don't know really know what if you're going to blame someone for slow transfers. I don't know who you blame, like because at the moment I think Man United have got some sort of plan, presumably, but we don't really know what it is. And maybe it's about trying to do deals cheap to try and get other deal. I don't know, but it's not perfect in the same way that Man United should have signed Sen Lamens early on in the window, and he could have started the season. And I do think that you're right. Now, the sooner you can sign players, the actual better you can sign players. That's going to be, you know, obviously beneficial to Michael Carrick, beneficial to the club starting next season. But it's going to be um, a bit annoying for me. I've said this like every single season with Man United. If you can get the players in, you can get them into pre-season. One Samurai said the season hasn't even started, so can we play some matches before we start blaming anything? Um, do you know what I said yesterday? I was saying yesterday that Manchester United, we haven't made lots of signings. So, and what I was saying, but I don't think we're going to be worse than we were last. Like, we're not going to be a worse football team in terms of like, Cunha's not going to get worse. Benjamin Sesko and Bremo, Almajalo, yeah, all these players like Cody Mainoo, they're not going to be worse players. But I think it's going to be a bit more difficult to close the gap without doing deals. So, if Man United finish, if the transfer window ended now, I'd be thinking, right, well, based on like our team is pretty similar to last season. Casemiro goes, we bring in Tielemans, Santos comes in, Agarte's injured. I would say, right, well, my or prediction would probably be we're probably going to be like a Champions League football team. We're probably going to be finishing in the top 4 or 5, unless that we have some really bad injury issues. If we play really well, we could be like third again, maybe. But that would be kind of where I'm looking at. The question is going to be, will Manchester United would it be more competitive? I don't know. It's really difficult, isn't it? Because if you look at it and say, well, we're seeing Newcastle sell loads of players, buy quite a few. They're going to have to buy quite a lot of players. It might be Gaz. It might be, but I don't think Man United are going to be significantly worse. But we'd have to see now. But if the transfer window did close now, I think we'd be a lot of us would say, right, this is not really like a sensible transfer window, is it? Weirdly, though, also, if you remember last season, the first few games were very difficult. Like we had Arsenal to start with, we had Chelsea and Man City in the first 5 games, so very difficult start. This season, we've got some slightly easier games to start with. So I'd imagine that Man United are going to start quite well. That's my prediction. We're playing weaker teams to start the Premier League. Hopefully, we get some points on the board, and maybe that's going to be. Maybe fans will change their mind. You know how fans react quite quickly. But I think that the difficulty is going to be is if you want Michael Carrick to improve on last season and maybe try and win a domestic cup, do well in the Champions League, then what do we need in the window? And just a question mark. If we're looking at, like, he already says we've got a much stronger team this season than what we had last season. Maybe what you could say is because Man United over the last couple of years we've signed younger players. So say Yoro, Aiden Heaven, Dorgu, for example, and I think also Mbeumo and Cunha were signed at a sensible age. Maybe those players actually improve, Yari. Is that what you thinking that there's going to be development from the younger players? Like for me, Aiden Heaven this season is going to probably have a better season than he did last year. I think Yoro hopefully as well. And maybe we're going to see, like for me, the forward situation, and I said this a bit on social media, I think you've got Mbeumo, Cunha, Benjamin Sesko, Bruno Fernandes. They kind of started clicking towards the end of last season. We're creating lots of chances, getting lots of goals. So I don't think there's going to be a problem in scoring goals. I think the problem Man United might have is going to be out of possession, midfield, defensive like issues. In my opinion, the biggest issue was I think we just conceded too many goals over the latter part of the season. So it's quite exciting as a fan because you get to win games like 3-2, like 4-2. There's quite a lot of high scoring games. But the question marks are going to be over can Man United grind out more 1-0s? Like if we don't play that well, can we at least keep clean sheets and then win games that way? Because that's kind of what Arsenal were doing. Arsenal were very geared up towards winning a league title. Don't concede many goals, don't concede many opportunities. And I think United have got the goal threat. We've got the firepower. The question is going to be, can we get enough options in midfield and defence so that if we do get a couple of injuries, which will happen, and we do play a lot more games, which is inevitable. And it's a good thing, though. Having extra games is a positive thing because Man United are back in Europe. And that's a big competition now, lots of games. So for me, the squad just needs to be a bit bigger to cope with that. So I just like comments saying maybe in 3028. In 3028, then I don't think we'll be streaming then. They might not even be playing football then, Kate. So some people saying the team is stronger than last season are delusional to the big dog. I think with this one, people just have different views, don't they? And again, at this stage of the season, with the transfer window is not closed yet, and we haven't seen any players kick a ball. So do you remember last year? If you can remember last season, I think the first three games of the season, I think Liverpool won three or they won four. Everybody said Liverpool are going to completely dominate, and we saw Liverpool were really poor for most of the season, and they were kind of lucky to finish where they did. They weren't not a very good team, and so I think it's very difficult to predict. A lot of people, if you're a Newcastle fan, what on earth are you going to predict for your team? Like, are you going to be better? Are you going to be worse? I have no idea what to expect from Newcastle. I mean, they've got no European football, so you'd probably say, right, they should finish a bit higher, but it's going to be genuinely difficult to predict where they're going to be. And what do people think regarding, say, so to go back to the news, would you be happy if Man United signed Miles Lewis-Skelly? Do you think it's something that should Manchester United go, actually, we want to get someone like Lewis Hall, he's going to be our first choice left back, and Miles Lewis-Skelly, we like the player, but maybe he's going to be someone that's like not the best option for Man United. But this is just something that came out from the Athletic that I wanted to share. A lot of journalists have been pushing the story where you pretty much got Lewis Hall as the player that Manchester United would prefer. Say this: if all players cost the same amount of money, Lewis Hall is expected to be the priority option, and then you've got Salinas. You've got also, I think in terms of this one, you've got Manchester United also looking at Page, who again would be a cheaper option, but significant news about him recently. And the question you've got really is if you're going to be spending big, and I know we had this kind of loose question at the start of the stream, is if you're going to spend quite big, I think most of us said about 3 months ago that if he wanted to come to Man United, Eddie Anderson would be a player worth spending big for. Okay. And when we talked about Tonali, some people say, right, it's worth spending big on him. If you're going to be looking at, say, Lewis Hall, is it worth spending big on Lewis Hall? Like, how much would he cost? And is it worth putting an offer on the table that Newcastle essentially can't refuse because it's just too good? Because that's what you've got to do. When Newcastle say he's not for sale, it just means he costs a lot of money. That's what I'm saying. It just means it's expensive. So every player's for sale, apart from maybe who's the guy that plays for Bayern Munich? I think it seems to be everybody's for sale apart from Elise. That's what I'm reading in the news. But Mr. B says Lewis Hall would be better, but Mars Lewis, Skelly, Robinson, both good. And I think with this one, like I would say these are good options, aren't they? Lewis Hall comes in to replace Luke Shaw. That's why you'd sign him. And I think Robinson would come in also. He would maybe be a backup. He might be a backup to Luke Shaw and ultimately replace him maybe in a year's time, possibly. But if you're looking at the other options, Miles Lewis Skelly, I think he would be for me. I would quite like this signing. So if I saw a story tomorrow or in a few days' time and it said Miles Lewis Skelly to Man United, £50 million, I would be okay. I like this signing. He's a good player. Okay, he can play two positions. Don't use versatility against him. He's going to be someone that can improve over time as well. And I would say, get him in with the remit that he's going to be. Maybe he's going to be playing mainly in midfield, but also maybe he's going to get a lot of experience at left back. And to be honest, if he can play equally well in those positions, I think it could be a good signing for United. And then maybe in the future, depending on how he develops, because Miles Lewis Skelly is still a young player as well, depending on how he develops, maybe Man United can look at go, right, do we need to buy Lewis Hall as well, like in a year's time, or uh, look at spending big there, or do we need to spend big in midfield? That's what I'm saying. So let's go for a few of the comments. Um, I don't know much about Page, to be honest. I think if you're any Leicester fans, maybe. Hope the Amazon documentary shows the world what Shaita owners are and they sell. I think with this one, if you're expecting that to happen, Jeff, you might be disappointed because I don't have Amazon Prime myself. I think my wife does actually, so I might be able to see some of it. But I think regarding this one, Jeff, I think Manchester United have already kind of said, right, you can film this, you can film that, and I get the feeling that they're going to control a lot of a lot of what's been put out there. So I'd imagine this is going to be like any sort of TV program. It's going to be quite edited. There is no way that Manchester United, well, we know how, so the Glazers at Ineos like to try and control the media. I can't imagine there's any sort of circumstance where Amazon Prime is going to be allowed to put out things that make Man United look shite. Like we can draw the conclusion, but I'm pretty sure that Man United will not be allowing that one as well. BHU Sky, I saw a couple of comments that disappeared quickly. If it's your birthday, Sky, then happy birthday to you. Hope you're having a good one. Always quite nice to have your birthday in the summer as well. Unfortunately, my birthday's in the autumn, and usually it's like rainy and horrible. Um, and Mr. B says, don't forget Skelly in the England team at one stage, so promise is immense. No, this is one as well, isn't it? That sometimes there's players where you don't see how good they are till they move to a different football club. And I'm hoping that's going to be the case with Santos. That I don't recall lots of people talking about Santos last season, but as soon as Santos moved to Man United, there was a lot of Chelsea content creators that were effectively losing it and were not very happy regarding this one. They weren't very happy that we got that deal. So yeah, maybe this is going to be one where, like with Miles Lewis Skelly, I think a lot of people look at him and go, right, good player, promising, they like what they're seeing, and maybe we're going to see him kick on to the next level if he gets an opportunity at Man United. It could be at Chelsea as well, which would be disappointing. And yeah, Gaz, I think it's going to be super edited as well. So Amazon owner becoming Jeff Bezos buying 30+%, whatever it is, of Liverpool is a bit weird. I don't know if that's going to be a good thing. I think potentially it's not good for Man United having wealthy, ambitious owners at other clubs, but we'll have to see what's been happening as well. Um, your birthday on Saturday. A big up to you, Mark. I'm trying to think. Did I stream on Saturday? I think on Saturday. I think I might did. I did something on Saturday. But hope you had a good birthday as well. So Spence took his place. Yeah, if there's going to be a few players that are like a few football players that are in and around the kind of like international squad, I think it's not necessarily an indication of like the players in the first team are better. It's going to be an indication that the coach or the manager just has a different view. So I would say like Santos was close to the Brazil team. I'd imagine that he'll be in the Brazil team quite soon. And the same way like Miles Lewis-Skelly, maybe, I think Spence did quite well in the World Cup, but maybe like Lewis Skelly would have been a good option as well because I think United did. I think England did have some issues in the World Cup with lack of fullbacks, particularly at right back situation as well. So yeah, not ideal, not ideal. Yeah, I've never watched any Arsenal or Spurs documentaries. I'm with you, Bilal. I did watch the Chicago Bulls one just because I was interested in that one. So also big thanks to Modern Samurai for 3 months a member on the channel. Big up to you. Said you said this earlier last week. We could trade our entire squad for PSG's club and people would complain. And yeah, I remember actually I made a joke about a year ago where I said, let's get Mbappe. And I've actually maybe it was like it might have even been like on Red Devil United. So this might have been like about 3 years ago. And we were talking about potential takeover just before Ineos came in. And I said, what if we sign like Mbappe or something, just as a joke? And the reaction was, no, we don't like Mbappe, a bit overrated. So I think at this point in time, you could if people want to complain, they're going to complain, aren't they? I think unfortunately the Glazers give us a lot of things to complain about. But no, I would quite like to see actually. I'd like to see Kvaratskhelia. For me, he would have been a great signing to see. So, but Modern Samurai is saying let's things unfold and let the season start before we have jumped to conclusions and get no, somebody told me we were going to get relegated, and I can't remember who it was, or somebody said we're going to be like mid-table, and I was thinking I can't see Man United like dropping down that far. Like I can't see Man United getting significantly worse. And I think the thing that makes me a bit annoyed sometimes, I'm usually not too angry on streams and things. The thing that sometimes makes me a bit annoyed is I just don't see if we're going to improve loads. And some people say, Rich, you just need to be a bit more patient. And I'm like, well, I struggle with patience a little bit. But also, as some people say, look, we've been patient for quite a long time, I think, over the years. And I think it'd be quite nice to see a bit more progress. Welcome to you in the chat. Thanks for getting involved. So cheers, John, and good afternoon to you as well. So only one guy on here thinks Mbappe is overrated. Yeah, that there is, but Bilal, there's always one, isn't there? There's always one. I could say get Kabashalia in, and there'll be somebody that says, I don't know, I think there's a better option in some random league. So no one's going to agree completely. So I haven't got a poll in the comments today, but I would say with this one, let me know. This is a question for everybody. Let me know what you think regarding if Man United were to drop, say, £50 million on Lewis Skelly tomorrow. Okay, it's not going to happen because it's not going to be that quick. But if Manchester United got Lewis Skelly for £50 million, what would be your gut reaction? Because my gut reaction, because now I'm thinking of it now, I would be actually quite happy with that deal. So if you remember Dylan, Dylan's not been on the channel for a little while, 'cause he's been quite busy and the summer's quite difficult to get people in. But Dylan's the guy from um, Ireland. We were talking about, I think we were talking about Kvaratskhelia just before we moved to PSG, and we were talking about Neves as well just before we moved to PSG. So I think there's definitely been some really good deals out there we could have got done and we haven't done, and we're kind of paying the price for it a bit now. Just a massive shout out to Modern Samurai for gifting TV memberships and to people that received them. Danny B, Sporting Gold, Touchdown Facts, good to see Touchdown Facts, and Prosaic. I don't recognise Clive. He's a Liverpool fan. So Clive, are you going to be the next team that spends loads of money, or are you going to be a team that I'm actually hoping regarding Jeff Bezos? I hope that whatever rules they've applied to Newcastle, I hope they apply them to Liverpool because I'm a bit concerned that I don't like Liverpool getting wealthy owners. They've got a big fan base. They're definitely a club that could spend big. Well, they did spend big last year, didn't they? So, so my question was going to be: if Man United spent £50 million on Lewis Skelly, what would your reaction be? Mbappe takes up a lot of space. If Mbappe takes up some space on the Old Trafford pitch wearing red, I wouldn't be complaining. Like I think he would be, you know, I don't know. Mbappe's outrageous. To be honest, actually, some of the players in the World Cup, I think the thing I liked in the World Cup was Mbappe was quality, Haaland was quality, Harry Kane got a lot of goals, Bellingham got a lot of goals. I think it was definitely one of those World Cups where the players that you knew were the best players were bagging goals quite easily, weren't they? They were showing what they've got as well. Mbappe's ego is bigger than any few. I don't know. Didn't Mbappe get 100 million a year at PSG when he left? But surely, maybe with this one, surely Mbappe, like he must be one of the wealthiest footballers. When you look at David Beckham owning Inter Miami, is the next stage of football going to be ex-footballers controlling clubs? Like, could that be something that happens? Like, because with Mbappe, I think actually just to mention a little bit regarding Liverpool's takeover, um, I think LeBron James was a share, well, not share. I think LeBron James owned part of Liverpool. So maybe you're going to get sports people just buying back into the teams that they've come through or teams they support because it's not really a good way of making money in the Premier League, but it is seen as a good investment in US sports because of the way it's organised. And one of Samuel says Liverpool had the same squad. They sucked because Slot was trash. He certainly was last season. I think Liverpool got rid of Trent and they benched Mo Salah and they didn't realise how important those players were to their success. And I think that some of the new signings just didn't work out. Say Amram was trash, Carrick is not, and say Carrick will get the squad playing. Yeah, that's probably the one thing where I don't think people like it when I say that I think Michael Carrick has got a lot of trust, or he should have a lot of trust. If you look at it from there's going to be put it this way, Man United are going to play potentially loads more games. They're going to have 2 games a week, and there's going to be a lot of people, a lot of fans that will say, right, how can Michael Carrick balance this like one game in the European, say, Cup, and then one game in the Premier League, and then you got an FA Cup match, then you got the Premier League, you got a Champions League match, etc. At the moment, we don't know how he's going to do. So I'm not going to say too much about Michael Carrick until I see what Manchester United do. And also, if Manchester United win, this will be something that, okay, a lot of YouTube channels, I know that different channels have perceived different agendas. I'm probably a bit of a reactionary fan. So if Manchester United win, I'm probably going to be positive however they win. If Man United win by playing poorly and there's a deflected goal on 95 minutes, I will still be happy Man United have won. So again, with this one, if Manchester United are accruing points, they're high in the league, we're winning games. I'm not going to be one of those fans that goes, oh, we didn't get this much possession, or we did this, or we got. I don't think you get lucky in football over the long term. Like a one off game, you can say it's lucky. But if Michael Carrick has more points than Arsenal from January to June, that's not luck, is it? And that's Man United actually playing football that wins games, wins points. And the question mark is going to be, is it sustainable? Well, if Man United are doing badly, feel free to come at me and say, Rich, you said Carrick, you trusted Carrick. Yeah, at this point in time, I trust Carrick. Cake saying you get lucky in football 100%. Not okay, but not every single game. Like not every single game. Like you don't win a Premier League by being lucky. You can win it by having lots of decisions go your way, like Arsenal did, which is suspicious. But Man United, whenever we won the Premier League, it's not down to luck, is it? Like usually the team at the top is the best team in the Premier League. Arsenal were the best team overall by being consistent. They weren't exciting, but they were consistent. They ground out wins when they needed to, and they just had fewer poor games. Like that's the reason. Like Man United started off too slowly. Man City were quite woeful a lot of the time. Looking at the comments, Um, if anyone's got any comments, I was saying with this one, is there anybody that's just to flip the sort of script a little bit? Is there anybody watching that if Man United signed Lewis Skelly, you'd be like very disappointed? Because I've said the reasons why I think it's a decent signing. if you'd be disappointed or think, right, what we're doing here and you don't like it, this is your chance to let me know why, to get your say as well. I'll say Carrick was lucky. I don't know. I just don't think you can be lucky for like 18 games or whatever it was. Like you can be lucky for 1 or 2 games, but I don't think you can be lucky. Like if Manchester United have won, the thing is as well, we got third place in the league and we still won the last couple of games. I don't think it's luck when you keep winning. Right? We'll see though, Cake. We're going to disagree on this one. I don't think the Premier League rewards luck as much as it involves planning and team effort. But I'm not going to say that. Bruno Fernandes got an assist record, which stands like the Premier League history. He got the most assists, and this is with Manchester United also missing a lot of chances. So we're creating more chances than other teams. So I think you have to look at it and say, yeah, saying you love these. You're talking about the question. These emojis have been incredibly popular. When I started doing emojis, I did think we'd get some legends in there, and the Eric Cantona one was the one I thought would get a lot of use. But it seems that Glazers out, Ineos out is what people want to go for. Look, Sporting Gold, big up to you. So it's good signing. Arsenal fans would be fuming. But Bilal says you wouldn't be disappointed, but you'd be a bit underwhelmed. That's fair. If that's your reaction. I mean, it's good to have an honest reaction. If he isn't leaving for any other reason we should worry about, I'd be fine with Skelly. Better than Hall, says Solly. Better than Hall. Mr. Deadpool saying, why would Arsenal sell Skelly in the first place? I think it's just in terms of he's not going to get when you're buying Bruno Guimaraes into your team, and also Arsenal will be looking to sign other players as well. It's a bit like Manchester United selling Phil Neville and Nicky Butt. And okay, at the time, Phil Neville, Nicky Butt. If you look back over the records, I think it's like Phil Neville. He played a huge amount of games for Man United. We're talking about a lot of games for United and a lot of trophies for both these players. But Manchester United just like they moved them on because they had better players than those. And again, you can only start 11 players each match. You can only bring on 5 players each game. If Miles Lewis Skelly is effectively, I don't know, like your fourth choice in the midfield or your fifth choice in midfield, when you've got Zubimende and you've got Bruno Guimaraes and you've got, they've already got a lot of quality as well, and Declan Rice, maybe with this one, like Lewis Skelly, and again, this might be a case of like, if you can get £50 million or 55, 60 even, because the transfer window is quite inflated, maybe it's a good deal, like Mr. Deadpool. Maybe that's the reason. It's a good deal. So big up to you, Andy. Hope you're doing well, Andy. Says Skelly makes more sense than Hall for you. And did I read that wrong? Saying not better than no, say better we get Hall. Okay, better we get Hall. Yeah, that's all we got to be honest. Actually, I think sometimes I can put more emojis in based on like any YouTube channel you'll know that the amount of emojis you can get depends on how many members you've got. So if I can put extra emojis in, then guys, you can just let me know which ones you want. So by popular demand, in your site was requested by Bilal. But yeah, if there's an emoji you want, just give me a bit of time and I can get one in there as well. I did put a bottle in there because Arsenal kept bottling titles, but unfortunately, um, yeah, that's not really helpful as well. Yeah, exactly. So if there's one you want, go for it. Let me know what you think. So are Chelsea looking to replace Cucurella? I mean, how much did Cucurella go for? Then, because I think that's a good shout, I guess, Bilal. And maybe with this one, with Miles Lewis Skelly, I'm guessing this one's going to be. I think there's going to be a very there's a lot of news on the online, and a lot of it is not always going to be things that are happening. If Manchester United and Chelsea both want Miles Lewis Skelly, the most difficult thing to predict at the moment is where would Miles Lewis Skelly want to go? Because we have seen, okay, like Delap chose Chelsea because they had Champions League football. We have Champions League football, but Matheus Fernandes still went to Spurs. So, I mean, maybe Miles Lewis Skelly sees that he's got longer. No, he can go to Chelsea, then go somewhere else as well. I don't know. It's a difficult one to predict. And as we speak, there's an Arsenal fan in the chat who says, "You'll be ranting if we swap deal or bad offer for Neto." So, but I guess that the issue is going to be you're not going to be happy if Mars Lewis-Skelly leaves your club, which is exactly why a lot of Man United fans say we want to get him in. We want to get him in. Um, suggestions for emojis, let me know, and we will try. I'll try and do my best this one. Lucas says you can't sell Morgan Lewis Skelly. It will be a horrible mistake. We must either loan him. Thing is, though, he's just not. I don't think clubs are going to want to loan him, though. That's what I'm saying. So, regarding this one, that might be the reason as well. Be up to you, Luke, in the chat. Luke says, I would take him as soon as possible. I think the club should just go and buy him. £50 million, then is it going to cost any more than that? So, Bobby emoji. So, yeah, we could do that maybe. Maybe I could do like a. It's quite difficult because the emojis have got to be like obvious who they are because they've got to be quite small. So we could look at doing some of the Ballon d'Or winners of the past. Sonny says a lot of youth around Arsenal get caught up in the mix, so to speak. So some of the it's best they leave London. So yeah, I think with this one that maybe this is going to be opportunistic regarding Man United. Maybe we can benefit from Arsenal just having a lot of good players and players coming through. It's quite difficult, isn't it? Yeah. Based on this, though, big up to you, Daz. Good to see you, Daz. Luke is saying, I think he's better than Hall. So you're actually genuinely saying that. I think I made a mistake with someone else's comment. So you think he's better than Hall, way more experience, good Champions League experience. I think it's a positive. Yeah, big up to you, Daz. So Lucas says, I don't want Morgan. I'm getting that impression, Luca. You don't want him to go. You don't want Pedro Neto to come in. But if Morgan, sorry, Miles, not Morgan. If Miles Skelly goes, where Manchester United going to pay for him makes sense for Chelsea. The thing is, though, can Chelsea spend enough money to get him in? Like Chelsea have spent quite a lot of money. Can they spend more money? I don't know. This one. Big up to you, Steph. Also, thanks everybody. It's a new subscriber to the channel. We did hit 900 earlier. Hopefully, it's still 900 or above. But I'll go through as many questions as I can. Like I said, this is going to be one where I've had my say on Lewis Skelly. I think he's a good option. And you're saying Arsenal values Skelly at £45 million, which is about 50 to 60 million euros. Yeah, my estimation was 50 million might get the deal done, but you never know. It might be that he it might be that it cost a bit more. It might be that it cost a bit more. I think I've been thinking about Morgan Gibbs White stuff, like Morgan Gibbs White. So similar name as well. I think Skelly's going to go. I think the difficulty is going to be in predicting where he goes. So if anyone's got any suggestions for polls, I tend to like do polls when I think there's like something to discuss. And if you think there's going to be an option where you think that maybe it's going to be a battle, are we going to see? Welcome back. Are we going to see Chelsea really go for Lewis Skelly? And do you think there's a potential? Is there a potential that Man United will have? What's the best way of phrasing this? Is there going to be something where in a couple of days we have Manchester United actually having to fight for a player? Because we have seen in the past that there was a lot of talk about Matheus Fernandes, and the thing that annoyed me about Matheus Fernandes was it felt like the deal was there to do. This one again is starting to feel a little bit like that. Arsenal have got Bruno Guimaraes in. They might need to maybe also Arsenal might be looking at attacking options. They might need to do this one. Maps, you're saying this is spin. Thing is though, do you think, like, serious question to Malps, you can just say yes or no. Do you think Lewis Skelly stays at Arsenal this year? But if you're Lewis Skelly, you're Santos, if you want to leave the club, I just get the feeling that transfers are so expensive at this point in time. I would just say that I think clubs are going to cash in. Like they're going to cash in, and I think with Arsenal, if you're not going to use more, if you're not going to use Lewis Scully next season, and he's not going to play many games, and you can sell him for £50 million, then are you going to get more in a year's time if he's barely playing? Like probably not. If you can get £50 million and use that to strengthen your attacking line, because I think the issue that Arsenal have sometimes is they're quite reliant on Saka. Trossard's left. They might need to get some more quality in terms of like attacking options because they did struggle against very defensive teams last season. Maybe they need to look at that as well. So I'm going to put a poll in the chat that says most likely destination. Maybe I'll do the one where I go right. This is going to be a question. Where does Lewis Scully play? I'll put MLS because I keep getting the name wrong. Where does MLS play next season? I'll put Chelsea in there as well as an option. So just vote for this one and see what people are thinking. A big up to you, Sky. You have a great afternoon as well. Where does MLS play next season? Okay, so I think we got this one right when we talked about. Trying to think who it was. We talked about Anderson. Everybody was predicting City. I think with Bruno Guimaraes, like we got Arsenal right as well. So where does MLS play next season? So we're going to put Arsenal there because there's a chance he stays at Arsenal as well. Maybe a big chance he stays at Arsenal. So Arsenal, we're going to put United in there as well, and we're going to put Chelsea, and I'll put other because apparently he's been offered to multiple Premier League teams as well. But Arsenal, say United and Chelsea are the teams that have taken notice and been talked about. So we'll put other in there as well, which covers everything else. So where does MLS play next season? If you think it's going to be Manchester United signing, obviously vote accordingly. If you think he's going to stay at Arsenal, it would just be genuinely interesting to see what happens. My prediction is going to be he leaves Arsenal, and I would say if Manchester United want him, I think they should go. They should definitely make an offer quite soon. But I'm not going to say he should be a replacement for Luke Shaw as left back, but maybe if you get the signing done, then it might take the pressure off a little bit regarding signing a left back because he can play there. And maybe that gives you an opportunity to actually think, right, if Massa is going to get sold, maybe they go for Salinas, maybe they go for Page. I don't know. It does give you some options regarding that one. But Granted, he should go to the MLS. I don't know. He's too good to go to the MLS. Like he's too good. If he wants to stay in London, then yeah, maybe he wants to stay in London. Cody's saying it might be a smoke screen. You never thought United would be able to keep their business quiet, but I think this is coming out from other sources, isn't it? So this for me, this is not a Manchester United source, is it? This is going to be in terms of like Miles Lewis Scully being linked to other clubs, this is going to be coming from the player's agent, and it's going to be effectively if he wants to leave Arsenal because of the situation regarding Bruno Guimaraes going, which is the obvious thing, then maybe this is the time to try and get a new club, and it's probably going to be best option as well. Okay, yes. Sometimes like my brain doesn't work that well. Your bet is on Kone Hex as well. Uh, you think Chelsea again? MLS to MLS would be that would be a that could be like a headline for a short, couldn't it? Uh, these are better than the Declan Rice jokes. I'll give you that. Can Miles do the hard yards? That's the real question. So Stephanie, that's a good one, Stephanie. I'll give you that one. No, he's been talked about. He's been talked about as well. So make sure you vote. If you're voting, don't forget to click like as well at the same time. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. Really helps as well as we're pushing on towards 1K. Cody's saying, "What's the best way to get a move?" It's certainly, I would say this: if you're the agent of Lewis Skelly and you want to leave, say Arsenal Football Club, then he's just signed a new contract, so this isn't a contract negotiation type thing. This is why I think it's a bit different. You know, when we see stories about, say, Vinicius Junior to Arsenal or Camavinga or too many to Manchester United, whenever we see those stories, I always say this feels like contract negotiation. The thing that's different about this is he's already signed a big contract to stay. So this is kind of more similar to Santos, where that he's under contract for a decent amount of time. The fact that there's all this news coming out, it tends to come from agents. Like players don't really want to advertise, but it comes from agents trying to gauge interest in their player. So I think he's going to leave Arsenal. The question is, I don't know where he's going to go. So I'd be surprised if he stays at Arsenal. But if he does, but there's always probably, I'd say there's like a 20% chance he stays at Arsenal. There's maybe like a third chance he goes to Chelsea. There's maybe like a chance similar he goes to Man United if they're really interested. I mean, the thing that's positive about Man United is we've been linked to him a while ago. We tend to like look at players this sort of age. So we'll have to see. But if anyone's got any final questions, there is a Discord pinned. If you want to get involved in the Discord, I do post when we're going to stream there, and it's a way of sharing information. Which so Xerxes Talk is back. Sounds like it would be loan of obligation. This is from Laurie Whitwell. Says Yarley, I get the feeling that is it going to be something similar to the deal that saw Rasmus leave? That an obligation was this an obligation? If you're saying it's an obligation, I hope it's an obligation without what's the word of putting it? Without caveats, without get out clauses. If it's an obligation, then that's absolutely fine, and hopefully it's going to be for decent money. But one thing it is like the money coming in for Xerxes isn't going to transform Man United's transfer window because it's not going to be crazy money. But it does mean that Manchester United are sort of forced into getting another player into the club, aren't they? That if Xerxes is not an attacking option, you've got to get someone in. So let me. So if you want to vote, you got another few seconds to vote in the poll. At the moment, Man United is like winning the poll, so I guess you guys are quite optimistic about this deal. So let's just close that one. So I'm going to end the poll. And in terms of where does Miles Lewis Skelly play next season? Maybe let's hope it'd be quite funny if there's a story that comes out. He's really good friends with Aiden Heaven, and we see something like that happen. But where does he play next season? 43% of people saying United, a third of people saying Chelsea, which is kind of the percentage I'd go for. Actually, this is kind of weird because I said that I thought there was a 20% chance he'd stay at Arsenal, 18% say that, 10% say other. Then I think it's going to be probably. I'd probably like to say it's slightly more. I'd push the percentage for Arsenal up. I'd lower the percentage for Man United and say it could be kind of even money at the moment. Arsenal, Chelsea, Man United. I think it's probably like a third either way. I can't see him going to a different club unless something comes out soon. I mean, Chelsea have already so Spurs have already bought quite big. I'm trying to think of other options. Like Newcastle, I can't see him going to Newcastle. I don't know. Mark says these signings are just to maintain what we have, not to push the next level and say in terms of great marquee signings. I think this is exactly what it is. So I'm not going to be shouting and ranting about Manchester United in the same way that I'm not going to be really excited about some of the transfers because I think these transfers are to make sure that Man United we don't want to be dropping down to like say seventh, eighth, ninth, and I don't think that's going to happen. But I don't see us pushing into like being first or second. I think we're going to be somewhere similar to what we were last season. I'd say I've been to London a few times because I don't live that far away. I've been to Manchester. Actually, in terms of like Old Trafford, I've been to Old Trafford more than I've been to actual central Manchester. But I think Manchester, I know a few people that moved there and live there, and they really like it. I think it's a nice place to live. London's just a bit too big. It might be different if you're super wealthy, but for regular people, it's just a bit too big. If he likes London prices, yeah, but if he goes to Manchester, he's probably going to get a lot more for his money, and also he's going to play for the biggest club in the world. So I would say, okay, this is my opinion, but he's going to play for the biggest club in England at least. So he will skyrocket in trajectory in terms of like what people say. Debassa says, whenever I hear offered, first thing that comes into mind is the player is looking for an improved contract. Thing is though, with this one, Debassis is he signed a big contract a year ago. So I just said literally 5 minutes ago before you came in the stream. Normally, I'm saying the same thing as you. Normally, I'm saying I think they're going to sign a new contract extension, etc. It's going to be this sort of thing, but I don't think it's going to be happening. Yeah, I think it is. I think Manchester United and Real Madrid are the two biggest clubs in the world because whatever happens, it's just massive news, isn't it? Like massive news. Um, but no, I'll just say again, he's gonna. It's this is going to be different regarding, like he's not looking for a new contract because he signed a new deal last year. So for me, this sounds like he wants a different club because he's not playing football. So if anything, if you look at once you sign a new contract and Lewis Skelly's under contract for a while, the only way to get a pay rise is effectively to move clubs, isn't it? It's a bit like working whatever business, whatever job you have. You've got a certain salary, you'll get a certain pay rise each year if you're lucky, depending on where you work. If you want to get a bigger pay rise than that, generally you have to move companies. And I think with Lewis Skelly, maybe that's what he's seeing. He's going to move. He's going to move from Arsenal to. If he goes to Chelsea, I don't think he'd get a massive pay rise, to be honest. If he comes to Man United, then I think he would. He would probably get a pay rise, but he would probably also be in line for like more bonuses, and I think also his potential earnings based on his like suddenly his status goes up quite a lot. Uh, MSK Big Up to You says Heaven and Lewis and I never get the other name pronounced correctly, but you know who it is. Were the best promoted players to a first team of Arsenal at the time when we bought Heaven, and say Lewis is good like Heaven. I think this is going to be where Manchester United can do. This is kind of one of the. If I was going to be looking at, say, different levels of deals, okay, I'll say this quickly before I wrap up. There's going to be some deals that are quite cheap, and these are kind of deals like Heaven where you're opportunistic. And I think with Lewis Skelly, you just get players that are they're good players, but they're at a club where they're not going to get opportunities. It's a bit like somebody's going to get Vitek and they're going to get a very good goalkeeper because Man United have already got a good goalkeeper and Vitek wants to leave. It's exactly the same situation. There could be a few people at different clubs that I think where did Vitek actually go? Was it Middlesbrough? But there could be clubs where they'll sign Vitek and the fan base will go, why the hell have Man United let this goalkeeper go? And the reason is because we already had a good goalkeeper in place, and the backup goalkeeper wanted to be a first team player. There's a reason why this sort of thing happens, and it could be like if Manchester United had, say, we had like another player that's similar to um, Cunha, but isn't going to get into the team, we might take a big offer to lose that player on. So if you've got a lot of depth in one position, it makes sense. For Arsenal, it makes sense. Arsenal sell MLS, they get some money in, and they strengthen a position where they're a bit weaker. It makes a lot more sense over the for the club. So um, yeah, looking at that, yeah, we're banned from using too much water where I live. If anyone's got any final questions, guys, um, I would say don't bother arguing in the chat. Yanni says Thompson is also like Heaven. Do you know also one other thing as well, just to talk about this one as well, that in terms of like a potential signing, then Page might be another player that Man United look at, and they consider him to be similar to Heaven, similar to a Thompson deal. These are kind of the sort of deals that Manchester United should do every single season because effectively they're almost like a free signing. They're they're almost no money to get Thompson in, almost no money to get Heaven. I'm guessing like Page is going to be like a million or something. So it's not going to cost a lot of money. And if you do one or two of these deals every single season, in like 4 or 5 years' time, you never know. Manchester United might have a couple of these players in the first team every week, and it will cost next to nothing. But the thing is, doing these sort of deals for like £1 million, etc., then I think a lot of people like myself are going right. If you do some of these deals that are going to be like £1 million, £2 million, then you should be able to also do some of the bigger deals in the future. So if Manchester United have a first 11 in, say, 3 years' time and two or three of the players cost almost next to nothing, you're hoping that one or two of the signings that Man United have spent quite big to get the desired profile for the finishing pieces. That's what I'm hoping. So hopefully we see that as well. But yeah, no, I can't say too much about our stadium because our stadium is yeah, it's got some issues. It's got definitely got some issues. It definitely needs a rebuild as well. Before I go, there is going to be a stream tonight hosted by Jules. Jules is going to be hosting another couple of streams on the channel. Then a bit of sad news, Jules might be stepping away from hosting, which is a bit of a shame because I think he's done a fantastic job on Monday nights. But we will be looking to the future on the channel, and we will be looking at. There's a few people that are interested in being a host on the channel, and we will be looking at trying to get one or two other people that do host like a regular stream, maybe once a week, and we will be maybe getting a few guests. At the moment, it's probably just me because everybody's on holiday and it's difficult to get people. But there are a couple of people interested that are going to be maybe doing some practicing over the next few weeks. So we will be trying to get couple of different hosts just to give a different perspective, also to have continual content every night on the channel. That's kind of the aim as well. So yeah, no, big up to Jules. Jules has been great. I mean, GWAS on holiday at the moment. There's a few other people. Dora's on holiday. Um, I think we the Better's like not around at the moment, but there will be one or two people, hopefully, that are interested in stepping up to be a host on the channel, and we will be looking at a few other people as well. But no, hopefully, Jules will be tonight. He'll be doing a preview for the Leeds match. So please get involved in the chat if you're around then. I'm guessing it's usually about 9 p.m., but I'll post something on the Discord if it's a different time. I think being like Jules is usually available like 8:39, so something along those sort of plans. Planned for tomorrow. Tomorrow night, after the Leeds match, there will be myself and Helgi doing a call-in show. So if you want to come on and have your say on the channel, as always, like people are invited to come on, have your say. Manchester United Leeds, we will be talking about that match, but also it's another excuse to come on and just have a say about whatever's happening, whatever's on your mind. So it might be a late one tomorrow, depending on the kickoff time. I can't remember when the kickoff time is, but at full time tomorrow, Manchester United Leeds, get involved in the calling show. And also, I'll be doing like a live stream tomorrow at lunchtime as well. Big up to everybody that click the like as well. 30 likes, fantastic. We've got a water feature in our stadium, but to be honest, it's not a selling feature, unfortunately. But tonight, 9 p.m., Jules and either possibly another guest, but maybe not. Otherwise, Jules will be doing a solo stream previewing the lineups, the match for Leeds. And tomorrow, I'll be doing a new stream about 1 p.m., I think, or 12 p.m., depending on when I'm around. And myself and Helgi doing the calling show. So make sure you get involved. And saying, guys, thank you everybody that's been a channel member supporting the channel. And big up to Mon Samurai for the gifted membership earlier. So 7:30 kickoff. Excellent. So about 9:30 we'll be moaning or well, it's dirty Leeds, isn't it? So hopefully we put them away and hopefully we've got something to talk about. And it's going to be live on TV as well, so everybody can watch it in the UK at least anyway. And I think it's on ITV. So there's the show Man United versus Leeds on free television in the UK. So hopefully everybody can watch that game and can get involved in the comments and discussions after the match. But then, guys, thank you for supporting the channel. And big up to everyone that's subscribed. If we hit 900, I think we're still on 900. And we will catch you guys in the next one, 9 p.m. tonight with Jules.